Hello and welcome to Real Expert. I'm Toby Shifsky with Kaplan Real Estate Education, and today's topic is tapping into the robust new construction market. I want to thank you all for being here. We're super excited. We have our professional guest today is Melissa Reese. I'm going to go ahead and bring Melissa in. Melissa, thank you for being here with us today.
Hi. Really excited about today's topic and the opportunities associated.
Absolutely. You should all know that Melissa is actually going to be teaching a course for us on this also at Kaplan. So let me go ahead and introduce her to all of you. So Melissa Reese is a past National Association of Home Builders Salesperson of the Year. So for those of you who are looking to get into new home sales, Melissa's done it, and she's done it at a very high level. She has extensive experience working in new home subdivision field, including being the director of sales and marketing for a major California home builder, right? She has recently started up her own brokerage company, and it's called Live, Work, Play Homes in Orange County, California, specializing in new and renew homes. Did I get that all right, Melissa?
Good.
Absolutely. And we were talking, and Melissa's career, in real estate started in the mid 90s and then really went full swing into new construction in about the year 2000, right?
Correct.
Right on. So we got a wealth of knowledge. And once again, for everybody, I'm Toby Shifsky. I'm the executive director of Kaplan Real Estate Education and Dearborn Publishing at Kaplan. And I'm excited to get started. Today's topic, tapping into the robust new construction market. So I know we've only got 30 minutes and we're going to go pretty fast. Everybody else at home playing along, if you're watching and you've got the chat going, please send your questions in as we go. Michelle Auger is going to be moderating for us. We get a lot of questions that come in with a lot of people on. We're at about over 70 people now. And I fully expect us to be over 100 as we get rolling. So please send your questions. We'll answer them as we can. But I'm going to jump in because, Melissa, this is a new construction topic. And I don't think we have to establish that new construction is hot, right? I think that's a given. And there's a shortage. So there's going to be a demand for new construction. I know we did a webinar a month ago that was on new construction. And by popular demand, we're doing another one because it is a growing segment of the industry. And I'm just going to ask you, what do you think of the future of new construction, let's say for the next 3 or 5 years? Where do you think we're going with new construction?
Yeah, really the shortage has been building for, a decade. And so to catch up, we really see new home development being robust for another 10 years. To make up for the deficit, the shortage in new homes.
I agree. I think there may be a little shift, in what we're actually constructing. And I know we're going to talk a little bit today about a couple of different things, like everything from single family homes to maybe a detached homes, where like a townhome, condo, detached, even to attached condos, a little higher density, lower costs, more units, more transactions. We may be seeing that shift as urban centers kind of rethink about densities and costs. In order to keep costs down, they're raising densities, and it's changing kind of some of the product that's out there and some of the opportunity that I think people are going to have going forward with this shortage. Millennials coming out of the basements, buying homes. There is definitely a home shortage, and it's going to go on for a while. So let's do this. I want to find out and get everybody who's on to play along with us and let us know exactly kind of your experience in new construction. So I'm going to go ahead and put up a poll. And the poll, I'm going to ask you guys a quick question right off the bat. And everybody get ready to play along. Have you sold new construction before? Have you sold new construction before? Everybody go ahead and throw the answers up there as fast as you can. We're going to give it a couple seconds. Make sure everybody's playing along. Everybody's listening. All right. because I got one number. First answer, obviously, I represent a contractor and sell right now. That's awesome. You're already in the game. I've sold new construction to buyers before. Somebody there, they represent buyers here and there, selling new construction. Or I've showed, or I've thought about showing new construction to buyers, but have yet to sell one. That's a viable answer. And then how about this? For all you people who are fresh in, you might even be sitting in your licensing courses right now. I love it that you're here, you're learning. I would like to, but I'm not even licensed yet. Love that. Love that. All right. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm going to end the poll. And then I'm going to share the results. All right. And here we go. Yeah, look at that. One person says they can teach this course, Melissa. So you've got one wizened veteran out there. Maybe they can play along in the chat and help us along. I have sold new construction to buyers before. That's awesome. We got about 30% of the people there. 30% of the people have thought about it or showed, but maybe haven't actually got a deal done. So maybe you're going to pick up some golden nuggets here today that help you get that deal done. I'm sure of it. And then for those of you who are not even licensed yet, but you're thinking about it, this could be an avenue for you, into the real estate market. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today too, because I think Melissa is convinced that might be a smart path for a lot of new people in the industry. All right, let's go ahead. Melissa, now we kind of know who we have. It's like a third, and then we got one wizened veteran in there that's selling new construction. Maybe they're not wizened veteran. Maybe they got a job, and they're going to go along the path that we're going to talk about, because I know we're going to kind of cover the steps of how to break into it, right? But I think the burning question on everybody's mind is, listen, because like over 60% of our people have never sold one. So maybe we could start with, how much do we get paid? In fact, how do I get paid in new construction? Because I think that's on everybody's mind. Can I make a living just selling new construction, maybe on a buyer side or a seller side? So the first thing I'd ask you, as the pro, how do I get paid in new construction? And maybe we start with buyers. I mean, how do you get paid representing a buyer in new construction?
Right. So representing the buyer is obviously the higher commission, but they're further between. Super important that a lot of people don't know and are very disappointed to find out is, make sure you accompany your buyer the first time they visit. If you don't, chances are you won't be commissionable. So make sure you accompany your buyer on their first visit to the community. Register them. That's going to establish that they're your client. They sign it. It tells what your commission is. Make sure that you walk in and you fill out whatever's necessary. So you're not going to get paid if you don't do that. So that's
So rule number one, control your buyer. You have a buyer. It's your brother, your sister, your aunt, your uncle, your neighbor, somebody whoever, a referral, and they say they're interested in new construction. You don't want them out on their own going to new construction. You want to introduce them. You want to go with them. You want to schedule them to meet you, or you bring them there, because at just about every model home, right, the builder wants to know where they're coming from. And you said something about registering. Tell me about that.
Yeah, there's going to be a form to register your buyer. And it basically tells, here's the client, here's my information. I'm agreeing, that I'm going to abide by everything. And the buyer signs it and you're set. You've got that piece of paper. Take a picture of it with your phone. Make sure that you registered your client. It's their first visit. There's nothing worse than a client going out and going, hey, I looked at some properties over the weekend and I really liked this one. And then you go to that sales office and they go, oh, sorry, you didn't accompany them on their first visit, and you're out. You
are literally out. I mean, they could, right? I mean, I got to tell you, so I think everybody knows I've been licensed since 1991, did land development, did new construction. The first one I didn't do it right. My people went. And then I followed them in and they're like, have they ever been here? Like, well, maybe. And they had. And man, there was a lot of groveling on my part. I know it, just like begging. I'm like, listen, I'm taking them everywhere, but this is the one I want them to be in, and I'm going to help. And it was a struggle.
But in a market like this, I've even heard of some builders that aren't offering commission anymore. They're not cooperating. So, you want to make sure that you establish that representation right away.
With your buyers, have it on and don't put them in a hard spot where you have them on a representation agreement, and then they go to the builder, and the builder doesn't expect to pay commission, and now the buyer's stuck in a hard spot too.
Mm-hmm.
Right on. All right. So that's how you get paid as a buyer. How do I get paid on the sell side? How does that work? If I'm actually working for the contractor and I'm there during the week and the weekends, and I've got regular hours, and I go, and we're going to talk about how you actually get in with a builder in a little bit, right? I mean, how you actually do that. But how does the pay work for somebody who's working for the builder? How does that work?
So there are a lot of different scenarios. A very small builder may simply sign a listing agreement with a broker, and then you work for that broker as the new salesperson assigned to that property, and you don't sell anything else typically. And that's going to be a regular.
So basically, like a one-off, like a spec home or something. You list
or a very small development. They may just list with a broker that has some experience in new home sales and has a good team and can have someone sitting there that knows what they're doing. So that would be usually the smallest, or you take a listing on 1 or 2 homes. That's the very bottom. But really, working for a major developer, there are different scenarios. That there are companies that contract to put the sales team in place, and then you're basically employed by that broker, that new home sales company, and they may pay you a draw. And when commissions start rolling in, you pay that back, and there's like a minimum per month.
Okay. So this is the interesting part, right? Like how I get paid, and then when I get paid, and how does that all how much money how does that work? Like, because homes take a long time to actually close, right? And
Right.
So when you say a draw, what do you mean? Like how's the commission calculated? Is there a percentage, like an average percentage? Like, is it 3%? Is it 6%? Is it 2%? How does it work?
Yeah, it's more like a 0.5%. It's not a lot, but you have volume. You have X number of homes. We were talking a little bit earlier. You really, when you're interviewing with a builder, you want to find out what are they anticipating? What's their budget for how long they're going to close out, how many per month, and then you can calculate what you're getting paid per home and figure out, does this annually make sense if we meet goals and all of that. So, it depends on where you live, but typically they're going to gauge it for pretty good living. In California, somebody just starting out, it's probably going to average out to be anywhere from 60 to 100,000 kind of averaging out per year. If you're a pro and you've been at it a long time and all of that, you could make 200 plus. It just kind of depends on your results, how well you sell. Do you exceed goals? How quickly can you help them pay their loans back? And but yeah, you want to find out what their anticipated goals are. Are they going to sell one a week? Are they going to sell one a month? It depends on their loan and their budget and when they need to close the property out by.
Got it. So I come in, I can represent a seller. I can work for can be with a brokerage, and the brokerage may be bring on as a listing in a smaller development or even a one-off spec home and get paid a commission to sell. Or I could go to actually work for the contractor, and then I'm in an employee situation, or I am. And the fee, it could be like a sales, and you're paid on commission, but that fee, it isn't 3% as a sell side. It's generally a lot lower than that. I think you said like a 0.5% maybe, or 1%, or something smaller. But because you're talking about volume, generally, if you're in land development in a subdivision, you're talking multiple homes. And I think what you just said was the way to kind of determine how much do you really think you can make, is this going to be enough to feed you, you ask the contractor, what's your pro forma, right? You've got bills to pay. Well, what are you expecting to sell? One house a week, one house a month, right? And you can do that math to figure out exactly kind of what the position pays. Is that what you're saying? I think that's what you said.
Exactly. And, that kind of tells you whether they're priced right, as you're selling, if their pro forma is one a week and that's not happening, we talked a little bit earlier, they're going to look at three things. They're going to look at the person selling, they're going to look at the product, and they're going to look at price. But they're going to definitely look at the person first.
Hey, hang on. Before we scare everybody, I'm going to come back to that because what you guys will find out that if you go to work for a contractor, you got to work. I mean, they have expectations and money, and like you said, you can be $60, $100, $200,000 a year representing a contractor, a seller, essentially, and you can learn the industry on really basically on their dime. I mean, and I think that's kind of what you did, right? You went to work and you did that, and you learned the industry that way.
Right. And we talked a little bit about, how you get in and some of the methods. I don't know if you want to talk about that right now, of how do they get their foot in the door if they are interested in new home sales. And, based on the percentage of people that are just getting licensed, like a third of our audience today, it's like getting paid to learn. And so I often recommend to new people who come to me when I was director of sales and marketing, or when I was sales manager at a big community, and they go, how do I get into this? And really, you want someone who's been out there doing it. So how do you start? There are temp companies out there that specialize in new home sales. And most large builders have, if it's a smaller property, there's going to be, a salesperson that works 5 days. There's going to need to be coverage on their 2 days off, and there's maybe doubling up on the weekends. So that might be a 4-day-a-week gig. But a lot, have multiple temps on weekends to handle traffic. So that's a great way to learn about the builder, learn about how to sell new homes, learn all the systems in the back, the technology, become a valuable trained person, so that when you start applying with builders, you can say, hey, I worked for this builder and this builder, and I facilitated this many sales. And
you blew my mind when you told me this, that the great way to get into new construction and work for a builder was to go apply at a temp agency.
Right.
I had no idea. Right. I've been in the business for a long time, but you're saying that if I'm fresh into new construction, one of the best ways to do it, and you've done it, you've hired temps, right? You've brought people in, and guided people to go to temp companies, the larger businesses. You're talking some of the big contractors, the big subdevelopments, right? Why do they like temps? Why would a contractor hire a temp through a temp agent? Now, because I'm imagining the temp has to have a license, real estate license, right?
Yes,
so
absolutely.
Why would they hire temps as a contractor?
Well, they may not have a full-time position, being that they fill in, they may be weekends, they may be filling in on days off during the week, to take on an employee. And there's starting up, there's selling out, there's times in between, taking on the liability of employees, for the fill-in positions doesn't really make sense from payroll taxes and benefits.
Oh, sure, they can scale up, they can scale down depending on how busy or how not, right? It's like a test drive, I think, right? I mean, they can almost test drive you in a way.
Right. And from the standpoint of the builder, I've brought temps in that I've trained and I've loved, and I've hired them, as a junior the next time there was an available position. All the way up, some of the people out there that I'm proudest of who've gone on to really make successful careers in the new home industry started out as a temp for me.
Wow. I had no idea. I don't know if anybody else. I'm thinking about how many people have actually worked at a temp agency. As a matter of fact, I got a poll question that I created just for this one that I'm going to ask everybody, but just to play along, how many of you have actually worked for a temp agency before? Go ahead and give a quick answer. How many people have ever worked for a temp agency before?
Look at that. It's already
Look at
showing
this. It's rolling in. We've got 40 respondents. We've got 50 respondents. Ooh, interesting. Yeah, this is a mind blower for me. I didn't even think about a temp agency. All right, we're going to go ahead. 5, 4. Go ahead and answer real quick. 4, 3, 2, 1. They're still rolling in. 0. All right, here we go. I'm going to end the poll. I'm going to share the results. Look at this. Have you ever worked for a temp agency before? We had almost 19% of the people said yes, but overwhelming 81% said no.
Right.
Interesting.
It's a great way for someone new in the industry to get started. It's a great way to learn whether you like new home sales.
Yeah.
It's a great way to learn the industry and become someone that has something to put on their resume.
What do I look for? Do I just Google like new construction temp agency? Is there special ones, or what do I do?
Yeah, I know, in Southern California, there's Temps Plus, there's J. Williams. There are companies that specialize in that. And I think if you Google, new home sales temp agency,
new home sales temp agency,
I would think it would come up. Yeah.
Pretty straightforward. That's fantastic. Let me ask you, so that's kind of that's a fast, easy step one. Is there another step you could do? Mike, is there any other knowledge or organizations or anything you could work with to kind of get into that industry, in with contractors?
Yeah, nationally, there's the BIA, the Building Industry Association, and that also has a council, sales and marketing council, where there's education, there's networking, there's recognition. You meet people that work for the builders, you participate in trainings, there's panels of experts, you learn about the building industry. But really, like any industry, if you start knowing the people, then when positions come up, they're like, hey, guess what? They're hiring whatever, you should come. And then somebody in the company. And, it's just a great way to network and be part of that industry. And then the education that comes with it is invaluable. It's the industry.
So you just start to submerge yourself in the industry, in the associations that support it, become knowledgeable, right? Mm-hmm. And understand who's moving in certain markets, and get to know the people. That's kind of I'd see that as a nice long play for the new construction representing sellers. How about this real quick? How do we represent buyers? I got a question from Christina here. How can we best advocate for our buyer clients? Well, how about this? How do we get into new construction as a buyer's agent? What should we be doing?
Super important, besides making sure that they don't go in without you. More importantly, I think you make appointments. Don't just show up and interrupt their workday, or maybe they have clients that they're showing and you're hovering. Make an appointment, come in, be their advocate. Learn from the people on site about the community. Look into the local area. Be an expert. Compliment. Be basically a team member with the on-site team. Know them by name. When you come in with your client and they say, hi, Toby, it's great to meet your buyer, and they know you, that gives your buyer the feeling that, you've sold there before. The people in the industry respect you. Go there and visit, get on a first name basis with them, run into them at events, and, get recognized. I mean, sometimes right now I'm transitioning into representing the buyers and not working for a developer. And I go in and they recognize me and they'll say, your agent knows as much as we do. I mean, what a sense your buyer feels when they know that they're with someone that, the on-site team respects.
I love it. Knowledge, right? I think you said it early on, you go in, the development, the contractor, right? Christina asks a really good question. How do you actually advocate? Because one of the things you do as a buyer's agent is you sign them up, and then to do it really well, you kind of get out of the way and you let the builder work with the client, right? I mean, we talked about that, but we're going to talk about that in a second. But how do I be that advocate? I mean, how do I get in and learn all these things about these developments? Is it really just show up and ask questions, or is there?
Yeah, ask for a copy of the contract if you can. Look at it ahead of time. I've had buyer's agents sit across from me at contract signing with their buyer and have highlighted areas that they see issues with in the contract. Well, you couldn't do anything worse. You're going to scare your buyer away. A builder has 20 years of refining that contract, paid attorneys to do it. They're not going to change the contract. A big builder, you're not going to change the contract. So for an agent to come in and go, oh, this doesn't seem right. Well, your buyer, I've had to take agents aside and say, look, this contract isn't changing. You're basically going to scare your buyer away.
Sure.
So know the contract ahead of time, know the answers, know how you can support your buyer in understanding those questions ahead of time. Set expectations. Let them know that, when you buy a new home, the builder contract really isn't negotiable.
Yeah.
And so you need to be educated, know how the new building contract works.
Where you go in, you talk to the sales team that's there, you ask them for the contracts. You have any of those questions answered ahead of time. You're checking with reviews, you're checking Better Business Bureau. You can do all those things ahead of time, even before you bring your buyer to that development to sign that little, hey, it's the registry, right?
Understand about new home warranties, understand what the builder does for that first year, find out the satisfaction level of buyers who've purchased in their communities before. Have that confidence that, hey, people who buy here buy again the next time from the same builder. They take really good care of their buyers. Give them the reassurance.
I got to tell you, even when I was fresh in, I drove the neighborhood and I stopped and asked people, hey, how do you like your home? I mean, if you're going to represent your buyer, because the process for new construction is a little different. You really do kind of do a lot of legwork up front, make sure you're in the right development, the right area, the right situation. And then once everybody agrees, then you kind of get out of the way a little bit and let that contractor and the buyer kind of figure out their details. Is that right?
Yeah, because they're gonna do the contract. It's the easiest transaction, the easiest money you'll ever make. You bring them in, you set the expectations so that your buyer is comfortable and trusts you, and then they do the contract, they do the disclosures, they do the walks. You really don't have to do anything except for support. If they aren't getting their documents into the lender, that you're staying on top of it and you're making sure that they're keeping their timelines.
Right. And representing a buyer, I know we got a couple minutes left, but in representing the buyer, when do you get paid?
You get paid at close of escrow. That's
close of escrow. So when it's done.
Right.
And
they cut a check to the broker just like in a resale, and then you get paid from your broker just like a resale.
Just like a resale. And so I'm going to ask everybody, I'm going to ask you to play around one more time. How long do you think it takes a typical new home to be built in your area? Everybody go ahead and jump on this poll. How long do you really think it takes to actually build new construction? Go ahead and answer. I'll post the results quickly.
And after we see the results, I'll let you know, that when the sales actually start. It's not necessarily when they start building.
Yeah, give us that little snippet of timeline, and then we're probably going to have to wrap up. But let's go ahead. All right, 5, 4. They're rolling in. They're rolling in 3.
You might mention, we didn't get to cover so much. You might mention the course that we're going to be teaching.
I'm going to do that to close. You're right on where I'm thinking, Melissa. All right, here we go. We're going to end the poll. Look at this. I'm going to share the results. 3 months or less, we had 1%. I think that would be super. I would love that world. I think that's quite bad. 3 to 6 months, we had 17 people, 27%. 6 months to a year, 58%, and more than a year, 12%. What do you think, Melissa? Where are we at here?
To actually build from breaking ground, you're probably right at 8 months to a year, typically. That's from breaking ground, but a lot happens before that. They could be working on that project for years, but typically sales don't start until usually right around the time foundations are poured, and then you've got about 4 months. And sometimes maybe before, because some of the options sometimes have to do with plumbing and different things. So they may start pre-sales a little bit earlier, but a lot of times your first phase, if it's a big community, is, really just 2 or 3 months before completion.
So you've actually tightened down that time frame, and some of those larger developments, some of the bigger builders, they'll actually have stuff started and organized and ready. And so you could get a home, could walk in with a buyer, and 4 months later you could be getting a check as a buyer's agent.
Yes.
It could be. Now, if it's a specialty thing or there are some of the bigger homes, I think a couple of people put in there more than a year. I've seen it take 2 years. And so depending on what you're selling, how long the time frame is, just remember, you generally don't get paid as a buyer's agent until it closes.
Yeah, I was showing high rises at the coast. People have been in contracts since 2019, and they're just now starting to finish because high rises take a long time.
Got it. Well, I tell you what, you've been awesome, Melissa. Thank you for being here with us and being with all of our attendees. You know what? I got one last polling question for everybody here. If you play along, if you're interested in this topic as a continuing education topic, I go ahead. I want to ask one more question for you, and that is to see if you would actually be interested in this topic as a CE topic. So would you be interested in a 4-hour live online CE course on new construction for buyer's agents? I could see in the future there might be one for seller's agents, but let me know if you're interested for buyer's agents, like how to really advocate for your buyer, how to take it through all those steps and processes. So the options are absolutely, most likely, maybe, and not at this time. All right, overwhelmingly, we're coming in. 62% are at the absolutely, most likely 33%. I'm going to go ahead and end the poll, everybody. I'm going to share the results. Take a look at this. So absolutely, I think we're on the right topic. I think there's a need. And Melissa, I just wanted to once again say thank you. Everybody, if you have any questions for Melissa, once we close this out, I'm going to put up the welcome screen back again. It'll have her contact information on there. Go ahead and reach out to Melissa directly. She will be teaching that live online course for us this fall. It is in for submission at many states already for approval. And if you'd like to see it in yours, let us know. We appreciate that. Melissa, thank you.
Yeah, and I commend everyone for being here and, investing in themselves and learning more.
Right on. All right. Thank you, everybody. You guys